What's going on, YouTube gamers? Bonfire here, and welcome to another episode of What's This Game, where we highlight a new game, play it, and try to figure out what it's all about. Today we are playing Song of the Deep, and this is a recently released game from Insomniac Games. You may have heard of them. They did a few small titles such as Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, Sunset Overdrive, to name a few. And it's being published by Game Thrust, aka GameStop. This is GameStop's first published game, which is very interesting to see them start doing this. But very cool, because I was very excited for this game when I first heard about it. Now, the best way I can describe this game is that it is a Metroidvania fairy tale. And what I mean by that, because you seem confused, is that this is a 2.5D Metroidvania action-adventure game, to describe it, but its story and is presented in such a way that it feels like a fairy tale. It's really beautiful in that sense. So we're going to dive into some gameplay here so I can show you a little bit about what to expect. We're going to play from the very beginning of the game as to not spoil anything like we do. And then I'm also going to cover some of the things I liked and some things I disliked about the game. That way you guys can get an overall feel of what this game is all about. So here we are at the very beginning of the game. You can see it's beautiful. It's a beautiful looking game. There's bright, vibrant colors. I love the art style. And the cutscenes are actually done in a pretty cool art style as well. And we just go. So it's a really interesting concept of the two... Oh, we can't go that way. Of like a side-scroller, because you're underwater, you're exploring.
The world beneath the waves shimmered with mystery. Glow-kelp bulbs lit up around her as she passed by.
And so that's the narration. So I talk about this game being presented in a story fashion, and this game is entirely narrated by that voice actress, who does a phenomenal job, by the way. She's got an Irish accent. She kind of sounds hot, if you know what I'm saying. But it's really cool the way it's presented. It reminded me a lot of Bastion. If you guys have played that game, you know what I'm talking about. And that happens throughout the entire game. So here, look, we've got some coins.
Spotted some odd-looking old coins. Maybe her father would know where they were from.
And so the premise of the game is you play the daughter of a fisherman who, your dad didn't come home one day from a fishing trip, and then you go out, you set out into the ocean to try to find your father. And you look down the deep depths of the ocean, and that begins your adventure. And that's the whole premise of the game. You're looking for your dad. And so obviously in this game there's a lot of exploration. There's, get that coin. There's a lot of places and abilities that you get that will open up more places. And that's the main premise. There's a lot of puzzle solving as well, so you'll do a lot of that. Let's go over here.
Light flickered and danced on the sea floor like an underwater fire.
And so those little things are your save points. Save often because you're going to need it.
Time. Could that have been a Tyne wellspring?
Ah, Tyne Wells. And so what she's referring to is, that didn't work out so well. Tyne is kind of like your energy. So you can see little things right here. Let's go this way.
A seahorse made of clockwork gears darted out of the way as Merrin approached.
Yeah.
She wondered who could
So
make
see
such a
there
curious
again,
fish.
bringing those fairy tale elements here, you're gonna experience all kinds of different things, all kinds of different underwater life. It's really cool. Going down. And then once you start unlocking abilities, that's when you can start exploring more places. And here's our first one, I think. Magnetic Claw. And so that's where the Metroidvania-ness comes in.
Approached a glowing scrap of
So as you explore this world, play throughout the game, you'll get more and more abilities that will help you explore newer areas, solve different puzzles. So this lets us go through there. And this is also one of your combat abilities. That's how you hit stuff. Look, when you pick stuff up. I think we're getting some combat here. Go ahead and save. And the combat, I've got to say, I enjoyed it. Well, jellyfish.
hostile creatures would attack her on sight.
So I really enjoy the combat. It's very simplistic combat, not too complicated. I never really found myself into a situation to where I felt overwhelmed, but it's satisfying to say nonetheless. It can get a little repetitive and old towards the latter half of the game. Oh, snap. Let's get these guys. But you do get some new abilities to kind of keep it a little spicy. Give it a little variation, but not a lot. Because the majority of this game, we got this bomb here. You'll be solving puzzles, exploring, and entering a little combat zones. So outside of that, which may sound like a good diverse amount, there's not a whole lot of diversity in the gameplay for this game. That's one of the things that I think hold it back. Whoa.
She knew it all too well from her father's stories.
You can consider these like mini boss battles, I think. There are a couple of boss battles in the game. In moments like these, I think really make the game fun. The boss battles, I think, are awesome. Except there's just not enough of them. They need to have more boss battles. I think having more boss battles would bring more diversity to the gameplay, kind of change it up, keep things fresh as you would explore different strategies to take down these bosses. But there's not enough of them. So I think that's what contributes a little bit to the repetitive gameplay. Alright, let's go down here. So I think this is a puzzle here.
The old statue
Kinda.
reminded her of her father's lullabies about the brave and
So there's little things like that that you'll encounter along your way, all sorts of different puzzles, and they get more complex. One cool thing about the puzzles, I never felt they were overly challenging. There was nothing where I spent a ton of time on, where I had to, it really held and slowed down the pace of the game. So it has that going for it. Again, there's not enough diversity in the puzzles to keep the gameplay fresh, but still enjoyable and nonetheless, especially some of the latter puzzles I really enjoyed. So here's the map. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. It's pretty big. There's lots of cool different areas to explore. As you can see, they're all obviously marked off. There's always an X to tell you where to go, which is helpful. And you'll go all kinds of different areas. You go back to areas, go to explore new areas. By the end of the game, you've explored just about everything. Lots of hidden treasures within this game. Lots of different things to find. Little upgrades and things like that. There is an upgrade system for your sub. And I will say this. The upgrade system is... I feel it's very useful at the beginning of the game. It feels like each upgrade is worth it. Towards the latter half of the game, they kind of felt pointless, and I really didn't see a point. So, kind of an imbalance with the upgrade system, but still, I think this game is fantastic. I really enjoyed this game. I think it's a good game. It's not a great game. There are things that hold this game back from being a great game. As we kind of discussed, with the gameplay, lack of boss battles. But it does have an awesome story. I think it's done very well. It'll tug on your heart a little bit, hit the feelers, and it's such a beautiful game. I love the soundtrack. Amazing soundtrack, great voice acting. I did experience a couple of issues with the game in terms of like frame rate drops and just a couple of spots. Nothing major. Long load times as well. But it is what it is. Nothing game breaking, I would say. Just the frame drops and long load times. I am playing on the PlayStation 4, so maybe the PC and Xbox One don't have those issues, but I digress. But I know we didn't get a lot of gameplay in, but I mean, that is the premise of the game. It's meant for you to go and explore and see what this story and world is all about. So I don't want to go too much more, but there you guys have it. That is Song of the Deep. Again, it is a good game, an awesome story, beautifully told, but there are things that just keep it from being a great game. So, there you guys have it. Let me know what you think about this game, and if you're going to try it or have it, down in the comments below. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And well, until next time, I'm Bonfire, and I will see you online.
Yeah. Yeah, now come on, it's shady you now. If you with me, put your hands up. On the fly, ladies to the front, go ahead, stand up. Fellas, if you see the one you want, it's time to man up. Like hey, oh, and if you see the